Welcome back to Bluebell Hill Crafts. Today I want to show you how to make these magnetic bookmarks with a pen holder pocket as part of my bookmark series. To start with, let's talk materials. For these two I've used these self-adhesive magnets, and they are the type of magnets that you would find in fridge magnets. They are fine for these bookmarks, but if you're looking for something a little bit stronger, you can use neodymium magnets. These are super strong. You can hear them snap. So what you have to just be careful of is not to put these near any magnetic data storage, for example, hard drives, or they can interfere with pacemakers. So just be careful with those, but they're absolutely wonderful. I've used them in this one here, and you can just see the difference. So these would hold a lot more papers in between. When you decide on your size, you could either work around one of these fun transfers, and I've made a video on how to do those. I'll link it above for you. Or you could just pick a pattern, for example, and work the sizing around those. What you need to do is add a 1/4 inch to the size of the pattern, plus an additional 1/4 inch here and here for seam allowance, and that will be your width. And then you can decide how long you want this to be. This one here I'm going to make with this transfer on, and I'm going to make this a little bit shorter than those. You will also need a piece of fusible interfacing, and I have cut this a 1/4 inch shorter all the way around, which will make it easier for turning later on. This is lightweight, but you can use medium weight as well. The next step is to add your transfer to the piece that's going on the front, and you also want to add the fusible interfacing to the back of your front piece with the glue side facing the fabric. So the interfacing is on, and then you take your back piece, add it right sides facing, and then add some clips going all the way around, and we're going to sew around with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving a gap that is comfortable to fit your magnet through, as well as a couple of fingers to slide it into position. If you decide to use, God, you can hear how strong these are. If you decide to use one of these, I have added, I hope you can see that, a couple of lines here to prevent them from sliding out of position, because if one is up here and the other one is down here, it's not going to work effectively. So a couple of lines of stitching here will create a little pocket that you can put the magnet in. And I did the stitching right at the end. I will add the links to all the materials in the description below, as always. Now we clip our corners. And then turn this outside, no, inside out. Turn it out. And the longer your bookmark is, the fiddlier this part gets. So bear that in mind. I usually use my 1.75mm crochet hook to poke the corners. You want to give this another press. And if you have added a transfer, please be careful with this, with the heat. do put the silicone sheet over this again, because otherwise you might put some creases in there inadvertently. Now we need to add in our magnets, and just make sure that you are adding them the right way around. So this might be a little bit fiddly if the self-adhesive side gets a bit stuck on the way in. Just keep working it down. Okay. So that's how they meet, which means this needs to go in that way. And before you sew this shut, you can just give it a little test. Now we need to sew around the edges to shut that gap as close to the edge as you can, but we're not going to sew up to the corners. You want to start from here, up here, and then feel where the magnet is this side and sew before the magnet. Because of this transfer, I'm not going to go straight to the magnet because I don't want to sew through it, but just do a line about here. Now we are going to do the loop for the pen. Make sure they're meeting equally. And choose the pen that you want to fit this to. So I'm going to use this pen here, and I literally just mark it with a little crease where I want to sew. You can use a chalk marker, for example, or a heat erasable pen, and then I'm going to sew from there to there, back stitching at each end. And here you have it. These are really, really cute and a great way to make use of your scraps. And yeah, you can make them for any ages. They would make really lovely teacher's gifts as well. So I hope you give them a go. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again soon. Thank you. Happy sewing. Bye bye.